Hey folks, and welcome back to my reading journey. Hope we're all doing fantastic, and we gonna continue with the fifth part. I don't really remember the number of the part, but yeah, it's coming to the end. The story I read as the Marionettes. So let's do this. All right. Where should it be? All right. Chandler's next words restored his confidence. That where we stopped yesterday. Where should it be? He gasped, but in the safe there? With his eyes, he indicated a corner of the room where now, for sealed by the for sorry, where now, for the first time, the doctor perceived a small iron safe, half concealed by the trailing end of a window curtain. Rising, he took his sick man's wrist. His pulse was beating in great throbs, without ominous intervals between. Lift your arm, said Dr. James. You know, I can't move, doctor. The physician stepped swiftly to the hall door, opened it, and listened. All was still. Without further circumvention, he went to the safe and examined it. Of a primitive make and simple design, it afforded little more security than protection against light-fingered servants. To his skill it was a mere toy, a thing of straw and pasteboard. A thing of straw and pasteboard. The money was as good as in his hands. With his clamps, with his clamps, he could draw the knob, punch the tumblers, and open the door in 2 minutes. Perhaps in another way he might open it in one. Kneeling upon the floor, he laid his ear to the combination plate and slowly turned the knob. As he had surmised, it was locked at only a day calm upon one number. His keen ear caught the faint warning click as the tumbler was disturbed. He used the clue the handle turned. He swung the door wide open. The interior of the safe was bare. Not even a scrap of paper rested within the hollow iron cube. Dr. James rose to his feet and walked back to the bed. A thick dew had formed upon the dying man's brow, but there was a mocking, grim smile on his lips and his eyes. I never saw it before, he said painfully. Medicine and burglary wedded. Do you make the combination pay, dear doctor? Then the situation afforded. There was never a more rigorous test of Dr. James' greatness. Trapped by the diabolic humor of his victim into a position both ridiculous and unsafe, they maintained his dignity as well as his presence of mind. Taking out his watch, he waited for the man to die. You were just a shade too anxious about that money, but it never was in any danger from you, dear doctor. It's safe, perfectly safe. It's all in the hands of the bookmakers. 20,000, 20,000 M's money. I played it at the races, lost every cent of it. I've been a pretty bad boy, burglar, excuse me, doctor, but I've been a square sport. I don't think I ever met such an 18 carat ratio as you are, doctor, excuse me, burglar. In all my rounds, it is contrary to the ethics of you gang burglar to give a victim, excuse me, patient, a drink of water. Dr. James brought him a drink. He could scarcely swallow it. The reaction from the powerful drug was coming in regular, intensifying waves. But his moribund fancy, must have one more grating fling. Gambler, drunkard, spendthrift. I've been those, but a doctor burglar. The physician indulged himself to but one reply to the other's caustic tones. Bending low to catch Chandler's fast, crystallizing gaze, he pointed to the sleeping lady's door with a gesture too stern and significant that the prostrate man half lifted his head with his remaining strength to see. He was nothing, but he caught the cold words of the doctor, the last sound he was to hear. I never yet struck a woman. It were vain to attempt to con such man. There is no curriculum that can recon with them in its ken. They are offshoots from the types whereof men say, he will do this or he will do that. Well, we only know that they exist and that we can observe them and tell one another of their bare performances as children watch and speak of the marionettes. Yet it were a droll study in ageism to consider these two, one an assassin and a robber, standing about his victim, the other baser in his offenses. If a lesser lawbreaker lying abhorred in the house of the wife he had persecuted, spoiled, and smitten. One a tiger, the other a dog wolf, to consider each of them sickening at the foulness of the other, and an edge flourishing out of the mire of his manifest guilt, his own immaculate standard of conduct, if not of honor. The one retort of Dr. James must have struck home to the other's remaining shards of shame and manhood, for it proved the cap de grace, a deblush, the cap de grace, a deblush suffused his face, and ignominious Rosa Mortis. The respiration ceased, and with scarcely a tremor, Chandler expired. Alright, guys. We're gonna have one more part. It's gonna be the final one. And thank you for joining me today. See you tomorrow on the final part. Bye.